Ag PhD full episodes and more are now available on Acres TV, the newest ag platform connecting you to fields of information. Look for us on watchacrestv.com.
During our Farm Basics time today, we're going to talk about how some farmers remove the residue off their field after harvest, and other farmers leave that residue out there. What's the difference, and what's leaving the field besides or along with that residue?
Well, first of all, why would farmers take stalks off the field? Well, there's a few reasons why. One, they might be using that residue as bedding for livestock. Maybe they're putting it into barns and putting something down on the floor, so it's really nice for the cattle or the animals that they've got. Bedding could be one thing. Another thing could be feed. A lot of times those stalks, and you say, well, wait a minute, wouldn't they want the grain instead? Oh, they're going to feed them some grain or something else as the main part of their diet, but they can use those stalks as some roughage. So it's kind of like giving them silage in a different way. They're giving them feed, plus they're giving them the stalks, just blending it all together.
For farmers that don't have livestock, they just like selling that residue off to capture some dollars back, because they figure, hey, I don't need all that residue anyway. It is a little bit problematic when I'm doing tillage or planting, so I want to sell off at least a portion of that residue. So there are a lot of reasons why farmers will do that, but the big question here is, what's leaving the field in that residue?
Well, one of the big questions we get is, what's leaving my field for nutrients? How much money should I be getting for these stalks if I'm going to sell them? The best way to find out is to pull a sample of those stalks and send it into a lab. They can do a nutrient analysis there, and you can find out, oh, it's going to cost me $30 a bale to put back the fertility that I'm removing from my field, something like that. And you say, okay, I have to get at least 30 bucks just to break even here on the dollars of fertilizer I'll have to put back in my field. But it really varies depending on what you're baling up, how much you're baling up, when you're baling it up, all those things. So you've got to run a test, otherwise you just don't know.
When you look at building stalks and leaves, the biggest component in most cases is potassium. So you're probably saying, hey, there's a lot of potassium that's leaving the field when that residue leaves the field, but not necessarily. The thing is, later on in the season, potassium will start to flush out of that plant with rainfall. So if you're getting rain late in the season, let's say you let all that residue sit on the soil for a week or two after harvest, you get some rains, there is going to be a percentage of the potassium that now ends up in the soil. So that's why Darren said you've got to test it. We don't have a way to tell you, oh, you have this many dollars worth of stuff, or oh, you have this many nutrients in it. You just have to test.
Well, when you think about it, you've got all that residue out in the field. It's kind of a nice thing to protect the soil from rain. And this is one of the concerns farmers have. If they're going to bale up stalks, well, I don't want to take all the stalks because I need some protection out there for my soil. But some farmers say, you know what, I've got enough growing season here. I'm going to take all the stalks, but then I'm going to immediately seed a cover crop, and that's going to provide protection for my soil.
Okay, but you got to make all that work dollars and cents wise. Why would you send some dollars off the field and, oh, now you're going to spend even more dollars to put stuff back? So it all depends on your situation, but we just wanted to let you know if you're a non-farmer and you're wondering, well, why do some people take the residue off and others don't? Those are some of the reasons behind it and some of the things we look at as farmers if we're going to ever remove our residue.
Well, one other thing I always want to leave the field is our weed of the week. Can you identify this week's weed?